Howdy. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's having a good weekend. Welcome to another live stream, the TeleDynes YouTube channel. Position this mic here a little bit. There we go. So we had a pretty good gig last night. Your favorite neighborhood bar. Definitely one of our favorites, Nick and E's down in Providence, Rhode Island. Yeah, we did had a pretty long first set, and about the same for the second one, a little bit shorter maybe, and did all of our originals. Sometimes I have a tendency to skip over some songs here and there, but made an effort to make sure I play every song so I don't get too rusty on this stuff. Because you play a song for a little while and you think you know it, and then you forget, oh, there's a bridge, and it's completely gone, But as long as you keep, most of the rockabilly stuff's pretty straightforward, but it's usually the songs that have a little bit more complicated of a form to it. Let's see, what else have we got going on here? We'll get into some intervals and chords and things like that. I had a couple of questions earlier in the week, the musical questions, which I love to answer if I can, about the differences between scales versus chords versus where do you put your focus, right? And I would say that if you can learn them together, obviously, but sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming. Now, everything is related to each other, obviously, and scales, for the most part, at least for guitar players, tend to be relegated to patterns. So we end up in this pentatonic or major minor kind of box that we put ourselves in. And it's easy to remember, and it's easy to play. It's easy to, it always works for the most part. And you can think of course, your blues, your minor pentatonic, and then your major pentatonic, which is just the relative six. It's kind of like the reverse of the natural minor, right? So if you're playing an A, and you want a minor sound, you want a blues sound, you're going to play a pentatonic, right, over A. But if you want it to sound more major, more upbeat, then you play same pattern, but you play it over the F sharp, the sixth, the relative minor. So, with scales, though, the question was really related to what conveys the sound, what conveys an emotion, or basically what makes music, and that's really more. It's both. It's scales and chords, but I would say probably chords more than anything else, particularly intervals. And a lot of the times you will get, you'll learn your chords and you'll learn your patterns, you'll learn your positions and all of that stuff. But understanding how the notes relate to each other, the harmonization, how they relate. We all know 1, 3, and 5 is a major chord and so on. A minor third is a minor chord and so on and so forth. But then when you start building extensions, you start getting to the point, okay, well, this notes, you're thinking more in intervals how the notes are harmonizing with each other. And a perfect example is notes that are right next to each other typically don't sound the best. They sound very dissonant. There's a minor second, the minor second interval, and the major seventh interval. right? And you wouldn't want to play those notes right next to each other. But if you put them an octave apart, it works. And there, to be fair, there are some examples of where you can play a major seventh where the notes are right next to each other, and they don't necessarily. There's um like playing that. That's an E major seven. Doesn't sound the greatest by itself, but in an ensemble setting, it can work. And that's the way I think about chord melodies, chord structures, as well as soloing. What notes are, what intervals in the notes that harmonize well with the chord progression. And when you start thinking about it in those terms, as opposed to just the scales and patterns and everything else, you can start thinking about the sound of it itself. Because at the end of the day, really, with theory, you're kind of you're coming up with these sounds, and then we're applying theory after the fact. So it's kind of backwards. But it's a great way to remember how things work and why things work the way that they do, and understanding the concepts as well. And it allows you to kind of break out of the standard, progressions and the standard forms all the time. But at the end of the day, we are creating sounds and not worrying too much about exact, the theory of whether it works or not. Because as long as if you can explain it, you can pretty much take anything and explain it away, as long as you understand, how to do it theoretically. But again, it's not the be all end all, but at the same time, it does help you with your soloing and your improvisation, like to be able to understand, okay, how a chord substitution would work over a standard 1-4-5 chord progression, and whether you play that progression or not is irrelevant. But you could play solo as if the chord progressions, the substitutions are there, and that's where you get into intervals and understanding the harmonic relationships of the notes. And scales can be any sequence of notes for the most part. And we understand that there's major and there's minor and there's melodic minor and natural minor, blues scales, and all of these different things. But really understanding not just the pattern, but why those notes are actually there. And they're related to the key and the chord that you're playing it over, right? If you play a blues scale, how does an E flat harmonize with an A? Well, it's the tritone. Get the minor third. So could go on and on and on and on forever with these kinds of things. But I'll kind of stop there for now, and eventually get a full video on a little more in depth with intervals and that sort of thing, because it's going to be in conjunction with the guitar, beginner guitar videos as well, going into theory. So that'll be a music series of videos or whatever that will be in conjunction with the guitar, the beginner guitar stuff. But I'll start with the beginner guitar stuff first, and then we'll get into theory later, because that's kind of how I'm just approaching it in the way I learned it, in the order I learned it. So I started with guitar, then moved into theory, and so on and so forth. Anyway, hey Richard, thanks, thanks. Yeah, I got this shirt with that other blue one that I wore last time. I was figured, oh, these two will be cool. And say, oh well, blue and orange does go together. Yeah, so morning, Gizmodus. See you again. And thank you so much, Mo Decker, for the tier 1 sub. I really appreciate that. I got to get back to work on these videos. Yeah, so I filmed the videos. It's I just have to write the tab out for the guitar riffs, and then that should be up shortly. And then I did my discussion, my little review on the monitor thing. But how long? 20 years. Well, you always kind of keep learning. So I always treat it, once I realized like, okay, I'm just going to be a forever learner, and I still learn stuff today all the time. Um, and if I hear about a concept, I try to go learn it. And YouTube, of course, is a great resource for learning it. A whole bunch of stuff, but music especially. There's so many great channels out there that go in depth to it and have great production value and everything, and really you know spell it out pretty clear. Um, but it was like four 4 or 5 years of orchestration, composition, and uh, and theory, I guess you could say. It started with scales, just basic scales. Everybody's first theory class is the same. Hey Mo, nice. You use a little emoji. That's cool. Um, everyone's first lesson, theory lesson, is always the same. It's write every single scale out by hand and in every key. And it seems like a tedious exercise, but when you get to keys like C sharp and D flat, and you have to write enharmonic scales, and you have to, one of the rules with writing a scale is that you have to make sure that every note, the next note in the scale, can't be on the same line. So it can't be on a space or a ledger line in the staff. So when you get into those crazy keys with all those sharps and those accidentals, you have to, sharps or flats, you have to make sure that it goes to the next line. So you have to use double sharps, double sharps, double flats, that sort of stuff. I can't remember if we had to write it up and back down too. But it was, I write it out by hand, and it was a whole bunch of pages. I want to say like 24 pages of scales. Because my teacher made me write it in G flat, but then also write it in F sharp. And that's when the exercise can really start to, like, oh, okay, so I'm really getting used to how the scales work and understanding the steps and things. But it was about 5 years of that, and the reason why I wanted to do it was because I wanted to learn how to um, orchestra. I played, rockabilly and blues and the Beatles and Zeppelin, all the, guitar music in general. And I wanted to. I was a big fan, still a big fan of it, but the Setzer Orchestra, and I wanted to learn how to write the big band parts. So, well, how can I learn how to do this? So, well, you got to learn how to orchestrate. So, it takes a little while, but um, it's been very helpful in terms of guitar playing as well, because when you have to write all the horn parts, and you write your lead sheet and the lines that you want for each section, and then you have to voice every section out and harmonize it all, and you start seeing the relationships and notes and intervals and chords and how everything is related to each other, and then it starts connecting dots on the guitar too, and how you can play, you know different types of soloing, and also the chord melody. Coming up with chord melody is where it's really been helpful, because you can always voice something major. um like I do this little solo in Sea of Love when we would play it. Now that's all major chords, sevenths, right? And then I do this. Now that is where it comes into, it's more than just playing just the major chord. When I throw this in there, right? Because the way the notes are, B, A, G, we're over the C chord in the song, but you're playing a beat, but it's a B note. So it's like a major 7. So I chose to play a 6 there because the 6 kind of complements the B there, and it just makes it just sounds a little bit more jazzy when I'm playing that note. But then it quickly changes to the C6 here. And this, you recognize, kind of see it, recognize that shape. It's an A minor 7, but it's also a C6 with a G on top. It's the same chord. And then you play this over the A here, or over the D, and we go to the D. So here, when I'm playing that note, it's just an A7 with a B on the top, but technically that's an A9. And you go here, that's a D7, or still an A9. Sorry, we're still over the A, so it's a A9, but it's also a D flat 7 flat 5. You know, it just depends on how you spell the chord out. But when you start seeing the relations and all the relationships with all these different chords, you start going, and you can, well, if I can use that there, then I could use that somewhere else, and that's where you can be creative with it. And you can go on with this kind of stuff forever, but that's what makes music interesting. Is it's always new and always different. But essentially, I'd say to really get comfortable with a lot of this stuff, and like I said, I still learn things all the time and try to, refine everything. And if I'm not sure about something, I always try to recognize that and correct anything I might get wrong. Yeah, it's hard to. I don't know where to. Um, I mean, really, just having I mean, I could say any kind of theory book would help, but those books tend to be a little on the boring side. um, Let me see. I'm trying to think that the best thing. I mean, I'm going to do a video series on it, so I will start from as where I started, because I feel like I want to share the knowledge with everybody else and try to make it as concise as I possibly can from from the beginning, from where I started. Like I said, the first thing I started with was the scales. Then we even went into some of the mathematical equations of like 3i plus 3i equal, I can't even remember the formula anymore, but there's a major scale formula, because it was all I was my teacher was a Berkeley um, uh, graduate. I guess he was just a graduate, or I think he did teach there for a little while. This years ago. It was because he was a trombone player, a bass trombone player. Played at used to play at the Copacabana, actually. Um, it tends to be like the trombone, like the bass player. Trombone players tend to be the best big band arrangers for whatever reason. Not always, but just thinking of like Glenn Miller, Tommy Dorsey, that sort of thing. What determines whether it's a 2 or a 9? The related octave um, from the root note, basically. And also a 2, technically, they don't usually spell it like that with a 2. So if you do, it would be an add to or a sus to. They say add 9. So with a 2, it could be a sus 2 because you're replacing the 2 suspended second. You're replacing the third with the second. Like, right. You hear that in the Beatles, I Need You. Plus, a 9 is considered a dominant chord, so there would have to be a flat 7 in the chord for it to be qualify as a 9. And the next thing I'm going to do is besides those 2 Rockabilly videos, I have another video just giving advice to people playing live. Little things that you wouldn't think would be a big deal, but you you don't realize they are until it happens to you. And I was looking at the script the other day. I was like, oh, is this really necessary? This all seems like pretty much common sense. But I made the mistake last night when I went to play the first song, and I completely forgot. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was simple little things that you do when you go play live, like taking your cable and wrapping it around the back of your strap and plugging it in, as opposed to just plugging it in. Because just like I did last night, and one of the first things I did when I played years ago, when I first started playing, is I forgot to do that, and you step on the cable and pull it right out of the guitar. So luckily I caught it before we were just about to play, and I pulled the cable out last night, and I put it back in, but I did forget to loop it around the strap right away because I was kind of like rushing. We already basically started counting off the song, and played through the first song, and then was able to, put it through the strap. And the reason why I forgot was because I was tuning up 2 guitars, and then when I went back, I forgot to wrap the cable around. But it's a very, very important thing. So I have I think it was like a list of 5 things or something like that's helpful. What was I going to say? After I found a couple of decades of playing, dig through the composition, learn every inch of it. Yep, that's very good. Yep, I agree. Take one thing, and just dig through the composition, learn as much as you can about that one thing, and then move on to the next thing. Nice. Larry Davis version of Texas Flood. I don't know if I've heard that one, but I'll have to check that out. My list of songs, my playlist keeps growing. One second here. Let's. I wanted to get the name of that guitar player that I'd mentioned last week. Totally forgot to ask about it yesterday. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, the first thing that I ever did when I played, right, before I got into the rockabilly stuff, like you said, I studied, played the Beatles because it was, it's a great place to start if you're, you don't know where to start with the guitar, because there's a little bit of there's interesting chords to play, and there's a little bit of lead and a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and it's varied enough that it it builds your guitar vocabulary fairly quickly, I think. Um, and then with the rockabilly stuff, it's it's getting that swing feel, right? That's a huge takes a minute, but once you get that, and for me, once I saw the Gretsch guitar for the first time and I heard that Bigsby, that was it. I was hooked. So. Duke Peacock, crazy, lazy. But seem interesting. Yeah, when you go to the 4, it's always an interesting. It's like what do you do? I mean, you can always stay on the pentatonic, but you can always play those notes there, right on the top of the E chord. But the pentatonic works too because you're playing 4. That works as a blues, minor third, fifth to the root. But if you're over the 4 chord, you can keep that same thing going because now you're playing the 7th, the 9, and the 5th. Oh, so I found the name of that guitar player, Richard. His name is Russ Evans. In Bristol, actually. Don't know if you've heard of him, but so yeah, he kind of looks like me a little bit. But yeah, playing the rockabilly stuff over there. It's pretty cool. Plays the Gretches. It looks like he's changed a couple guitars here. I know last time I saw him, he was playing all the junior models of the Gretsch, the 6120 and the look like a junior Falcon or something, right? That's not the Penguin, but it's the um just the smaller version of it. I guess I don't know. I guess Gretsch came out with a couple of new guitars. Blue looked like a blue Falcon. That looked pretty cool. Um, what else I can? Yeah, when you're playing, a lot of the stuff, like I said, is 1-4-5, and the only thing that really changes in a lot of tunes is just the um the turnaround, right? So when a turnaround is going on and you have like 2-6-5-1 or something like that, you can, for the most part, you can pretty much stick with it's so quick because it's only 2 bars. The turnarounds are like 2 bars, right? So you're not it's 2-5-1. It's over. And so to really worry about that extra 2 and those changes, you can pretty much just stay on the 5 and solo like whatever you want to do because the chord's passing by so quickly. And a lot of those notes, again, they're going to be related because the only difference between you're playing a 6 The only difference between the C, the major, and the 6 is just the one note, the A, versus the G. And if you play the 6 as a minor 7, it's just a C6. It's the same chord. So when you're, if it's doing 2, assuming you're playing a minor 2, a lot of the times it'll be a dominant 2, or what they call a big 2 in country. And the only difference there is just the raised third. But if you're playing blues, minor thirds and bends and stuff anyway, it's not something you really have to worry about too much when you're soloing. The only thing you have to be careful of is that if you have, this stuff becomes a little bit more crucial when you have more than one guitar player in a band, or another melodic player. When you're playing with a 3-piece, you can kind of get away with a lot more. The one nice thing about not having to worry about another guitar player or a keyboard player playing the chords properly, and you can, if you play a substitution or something like that, it does have the potential to conflict. Again, this is where it gets into note the intervals and relating. Yeah, don't forget to like and sub. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, so sometimes you can continue to build a chord on top of that, which is another way to create a substitution. So you just keep stacking the notes on top of the major chord. When you keep going, you have A, right, or get your 1, your 3, your 5. And if you kept going and you stacked another note on top of that, you would get a G sharp. Because you go every other, it's the one sort of a trick, I guess, you can use with sheet music. Maybe I can pull something up here and show you. You just keep stacking the notes, and you keep going, and you go to the next note, and the next note, and the next note, and you keep going. Yeah. Oh no, there it is. Came back. So it, without pulling up sheet music, if you started with an A, so it's the second space, you keep going and you keep stacking to the C space, A, E, G, B, so on and so forth. And it gets, you keep adding more notes on top of that. And that's where you get into 9s and 11s and 13s and so on and so forth. You could play all of the extensions where the keyboard or the other guitar player is playing just the triad. They're just playing the root, third, and fifth, and you're playing these other. Playing something like that. Oh yeah, you could do something like that, right? But you do all, you hear that sound all the time. But the bass player, the trio, would just be the bass players playing, right? And if someone else is playing a chord, you can add extensions. Now you can get more creative with it and go from there, but it's kind of, you're playing a chord on a different type of chord on top of another chord, and so on and so forth. At least that's what's going on kind of under the hood, so to speak, musically. But the way you look, that's really just like a 13/9. It can be a nice ending chord. Heard that before, like the band is going back and forth. We kind of throw something like that in at the end of one of our tunes, like a horn section. Or and you can do a turnaround like this. So that's a 7. You're walking up the 3rd. Yeah, it resolves nicely. Exactly. I've always liked this one, where it's a great way to play a 13. As opposed, there's this way. Same thing. Just playing it up here. Back to the F. And then you've heard those kinds of turnarounds before, but right there you got the G minor 9, right? That's your 2. It's the same chord. So it's just a 2-5-1. And descending 7. But that chord right there, that's your tritone. G flat 9 to an E9. Oh, yeah, the Hendrix chord. Yeah, it's a great passing chord as well. You can lead from the 9 down a half step, and that's a great turnaround as well. You go up to a sharp 5, you play the sharp 5 as a regular 9, and then come back down to the 5, but play the 5 as a sharp 9. So sharp 5 is a 9, sharp 5 is a 9, and the 5 is a sharp 9. And that little things like that you can throw in and kind of add a little bit more jazzier sound to it if you want. I try not to, it's easy to overdo it and go a little crazy with the chord substitutions, but it's fun to see how far you can take it. I like to see how far I can take it and say, okay, I've gone a little bit too overboard. Let me rein it back in a little bit. I do the same thing with mixes too. I try to add as much as I possibly can, or see what it sounds like when all the different ideas that come into my head, and then I kind of carve it down and whittle it down to something a little bit more manageable. Let's see. Yeah, I think I was going to open my finale program, but it seems to be messing with my audio a little bit. Chromatic works too. Unison always works. Where you can play something like a descending line. This is at the end of like Blue Moon of Kentucky, right? You have that. 7, C minor, right? Those are the chords. And you can play it like this. Right? Those are just playing the chords up an octave higher, right? Or you can add something like and that adds the descending bass line in the chord, but it also creates octaves too. Octave there. There's an octave there. Octave there. Octave there. But it's not the octave of the root, it's the octave of the descending bass line. So just coming up with little things that I can, make it more make it interesting for myself, have some fun. Think of however, any other chord progressions I've come up with, like not progressions, but like chord melody stuff. That's always fun to try to take a melody and then I start with the basic chords in the key that you're in, and then see if I can substitute those chords maybe for something else or an extension or something like that, and just use my ear at that point. If it sounds good, I play it. If it doesn't, I don't. It's really, at the end of the day, use your ear. My music teacher always used to tell me, music is for the ears, not for the eyes. So I think it was, yeah, it was my guitar player, one of my jazz guitar player instructors that told me that. And I remember bringing a bunch of charts to him, and he said, "Throw that away." And we would just play by ear and listen to the progressions and get to, used to different different positions on the guitar and where to, when you hear this sound, this is where it's going. And that's just doing it over and over again. It takes time. It's not easy, but it's a good definitely a good exercise. I should do it more often than I actually do. Is there a typical oh yeah, well, yeah, you have to definitely rely on your ears. I've read so many charts where I was like, is that right? And I go listen to the recording and I go, that's wrong. So you don't always trust the chart too. I always kind of use both when I'm trying to figure out a song, like for the lessons, for the videos, try to figure out, is the chart right? Is my ear right? Sometimes I don't trust myself and I say, well, maybe the chart is right, but doesn't sound right to me. And I did that recently with one of the videos. And I've corrected I corrected the tab, I'm not sure. But it was Walk Don't Run. Everybody that I know that plays Walk Don't Run starts out, but it's not a minor. It doesn't start on an A minor. It starts on an A major. If you listen to the original recording, that's what it sounds like. But when I pull up charts for it, it's an A minor. So I don't know what the deal is there. And I did find a couple of charts where it does say A major. And my guess is that the original Jimmy Smith is A minor, what it sounds like listening to it. And the Ventures is A major. Again, it's try to, the ear versus the reading. They both come in handy. I don't say one's better than the other necessarily. I think it's a good skill to have, to be able to read and also be able and understand what you're at least looking at. Not the sight read necessarily. That's unless you're playing in an orchestra. That's really the only place that comes in handy, or a fill-in musician or something like that. But um, yeah, so developing the ear is it's just something that takes time and doing it. Is there any other typical rockabilly progressions besides 1-4-5 like jazz? But I mean, other than 2-5-1, um, there's a couple. I mean, well, um, you've got your slower type songs, I guess. Yeah, there's 1-6-4-5. Um, that's you can do the four. The four can be a minor. That's another thing you hear sometimes. You'll have the minor four, or you'll go from the major four to the minor four back to the one. That's a nice sound. I've always liked that. Um, yeah, Run Around Sue. Sleepwalk, of course, with the minor four. And if anybody's familiar with Go Cat Go, the Please Mama Please, same thing. Is there another tune that plays like that? Oh, This Magic Moment is that. I think Stand By Me is that too. That's the only thing that's the only thing I could think of off the top of my head. Um, oh well, there's it's still 1-4-5, but it in different order. Instead of going to the four, you stay on the one a little bit longer, and you go to the five, then back to the one, and then to the four. Kind of like that, like the slow down, the rockabilly tune. That, um, yeah, that's still a 1-4-5. It's just in a different order. Um, yeah, kind of that's a making me think about different progressions. How a lot of the times it is still based around that, and it's just thrown around in a different order. Um, hmm. Yeah, that's similar to Rock This Town, of course. Similar type of progression. The only difference there is that he throws in the four. When he goes to the four, also goes to the two, the big two. So he has like this 2-1-5-1 thing going on. But for the most part, it's I mean, and that's the one chord that tends to get neglected for whatever reason is the three in rockabilly anyway. You get a lot of 1, 5, 4, 6, Sevenths are there actually more. It usually played as a diminished passing tone, leading from the to the seven to the one or something like that. But yeah, the three. I'm trying to think of a song. If I'll keep an eye out next time I play a song. What song has a three in it? Rockabilly, like rock and roll stuff. I mean, I can think of some surf stuff that has it. Um, yeah, that's Perfidia. If you didn't know, which we did play last night. Um, changes key, modulates about halfway through. Like most of the Ventures stuff, it all kind of follows the same format. Not for everything, but for a lot of it. Um, Trying to play those songs back to back, get confused. Playing Perfidia, Walk Don't Run, and then play their version of Blue Moon. I'll get totally get lost. um, out of all of them, um, other than Setzer, obviously, like the old school guys, probably. I mean, for guitar players, I'm assuming, man, I'd probably say, you know, for the original guys, I'd say probably Cliff Gallup, um, from a soloing perspective. Um, of course, I love Eddie Cochran too. So it's really hard to decide, but yeah, him and from a melodic perspective as well. I mean, Scotty Moore, of course. So, but I mean, I love this. It With all things considered, I'd probably go with Cliff Gallup just because the combination of the sound, soloing, the just the overall the feel of it in general. Um, yeah, I think that's a pretty solid choice. Of course, more modern players, obviously Setzer and Danny Gatton, but besides those guys, I'd probably go with yeah, Gallup. Just having that. Um, of course, you can hear that on like Flying Saucer Rock and Roll. I forget who did that one, but that that sound with the Bigsby just that gets me every time. Quintessential 50s sound for sure. Yeah. I was playing last night. Any modern guys not named Setzer Academy? Yeah. um, I don't. I'm sure they are out there. I don't know of anybody that's off the top of my head, but uh, I probably know bands more than I know them. I mean, I like the guy from that played the solos in the Go Cat Go stuff. Although it's not like technically crazy or anything, it's very melodic and I say modern. It's still 30 years ago. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I think there's a lot of independent, players that play rockabilly and stuff like that. Um, oh, yeah, I mean, of course, there's you know, um, was it Jim Heath, the Reverend. Um, I can't remember his last name, but yeah, there's a guy out of I think he's a great guitar solo or guitar player. Plays in a has a lot of good solos. Um, can't remember his name, but his band name was um is the Hillbilly Hellcats out of Colorado, I believe. I know, right? Yeah, yeah, 30 years ago already. That's why I catch myself every once in a while. Wait a minute, that's not modern anymore. Yeah, he's got some good songs too. It's pretty. They're they're um, they're pretty funny tunes, and I think they're great. And I think the lyrics are great, and the playing is great too. I think it's on YouTube. It's definitely on Spotify. I don't know if it's on YouTube, but I think so. Yeah. Oh man. Wow. Yeah, that's got to be something. Was it true that Gene Vincent was in the same car with him, or is that just a like a myth? That's what I heard. I don't know if that's true or not. Steve, Dava, Jazz Picks. I don't think so. Um, I honestly haven't bought picks as far as like in a store in years. I've always just get mine made at a. Um, yes, it's true. Okay, yeah. Oof. Yeah, I've never really. I have used jazz picks before, but I tried doing that for a while, and so everyone says like, "Oh, that's the way you can play faster and everything else." And um, I should try it again. I'll have to go to a store and get some at some point. But I'll try that brand and see if they work, especially for this the jazz box back here because I noticed that it's a little bit the strings being round wounds are a little stiffer on that too, and there's no Bigsby or anything. So, um, and I play some instrumental jazzy or type stuff on it with a duo when I do that, and having a jazz pick might help that. Yeah, I'll definitely give it a try. Because I noticed when I was playing, I use the equivalent of Fender mediums, essentially is what I'm using, and I just use this company called Intune Guitar Picks or whatever, and they what is it, celluloid or whatever the material that they use, and I just did it because for the price, it was the same as buying regular picks, and you could get your own logo printed on it. So, and I can just get a big bag of it. I just ordered some actually. Um, I started realizing, oh, I'm running out. I found 4 picks that I had left, and I went, oh boy. But we have a little bit of a break for this month. Um, So we don't have any shows coming up for November. I don't even know when the next show is, but that's fine because I get some. Um, Next show is December 6th, so I get a little bit of a break there. It'll give me some time to get the videos done and catch up on catch up on everything else. Fender Jazz picks fit nicely when you go to finger picking. Oh, okay. I'll have to I'll have to try it. I'll have to try that and see how that works next time I'm next to a music store, which will be Tuesday. So I'll pick some up and let you know for next stream. Yeah, I was always curious, like what going through picks when I first started, like what pick should I use? The thin ones obviously didn't work, and I would try the picks I brand was I using? It may have been Dunlop or whatever brand it was. Kind of had a powder over it, which was weird at first. I tried using those grip Dunlop ones, but then when I started doing the tucking the pickup like that, it that wasn't going to work anymore. So I switched to these other ones, and it would say you know, some picks have the um the thickness listed, but these don't obviously. But I want to say medium is roughly like 64, 60, something like that, and then you go up from there. And I was playing like 70, 75 millimeter for a little while, and then of course I was always wondered, like I always liked the medium picks, so I just used those. And I was lucky enough to go to when I went to see one of Setzer's Rockabilly Riot shows like 10 years ago, over 10 years ago now. And he at the end of the show he throws the pick out, and of course everyone's going for it, and I didn't know, but my wife saw it and stepped on it with her foot, and then as soon as everybody kind of cleared out, she went down and grabbed it, and she got the pick. And I still have it somewhere, but that's funny. And of course I was like, oh, what is? Oh, this is just a Fender medium pick. That's all this is. And he plays pretty fast, so I figure, well, that's fine. But before those chrome ones up there or acoustic, I mean, I don't know. I don't really play the Rancher as much as I probably should, but um, I just don't really have a practical application. It doesn't sound good through a basement amp, that's for sure. So you have to, and yeah, you know, you can plug it into the PA system or whatever, but um, it just doesn't. I don't know. It's weird. I don't really have any songs that really need it or require it, so unfortunately, it doesn't really see that much use, except for recording, obviously, um, which is what I primarily bought it for, relatively cheap, and it sounds good, and I can have an acoustic in the background. Yeah, maybe I'll yeah. If I sell it, I know that I'm gonna be like, I wish I had an acoustic. I need an acoustic for this recording or something like that. So I just keep it. But yeah, if I had to part with any guitar, probably would be that one. Yeah. Um, or I could just put it towards the smoke. for the for the price point and having something to be able to record with. Whoa, something happened with Pro Tools. Sorry about that. Hopefully that didn't come through too crazy. I don't know what happened there. It's like, get out of this a little bit. Looks like Finale and Pro Tools are fighting each other. So, yeah. Yeah, it said it was conflicting with the sample rate with Finale. Whatever. So, yeah, I'm doing all this on a Mac for the most part. I don't have a PC, but the everything works pretty well. I mean, at least for audio recording wise, I've always had more luck with the Macs than the PCs. But even though I can get I do have access to a PC if I need to edit something really heavy, Premiere wise. But anyway, technical crap. Oh wow, nice. Yeah, mine's just stock signed. Yeah, we had fun last night playing a couple of different things. We played a song called Symphonia B, which is a little different. That's not really a rockabilly song. That's got it's just 3 bars of A flat, right? And then it goes to a diminished. Minor 2. That's the turnaround. Which is another thing you can do too. If it's a 6-2-5 turnaround, you can replace the 6 with a diminished chord. And what diminished chord would you use? Half step up from your tonic, from your 1. So whatever key you're in, if you're in C, play a C sharp diminished. Right? And if you notice, it's walking the bass line up chromatically. 1 to the 2, and it just so happens the 2 is the 5 of your 5. Back to the 1. And that can be substituted. So the bridge is pretty interesting, though. It goes F sharp. Every time I look at a new chord progression, I always try to think of, yeah, you learn the chords, but another good thing to do is, okay, what are the scale degrees of these chords? So if we're in F, playing the 6, and And this just has kind of a descending line. It's going to F, and it goes to an E augmented. Then it goes to an A flat. D diminished, which is a tritone. Then it goes a 2, back to the 6, then it does a 2, dominant 2 this time. And this is a song where it uses both the minor 2 and the dominant 2. And to the 5. Back to the 1. Am I playing any of this new stuff live yet? Oh yeah. Yeah, we've been playing the new tunes live for a while. All of them. Well, the ones that are written. The ones that have completely there's five or so, the rest of the album, the 5 or so new tunes that we haven't recorded yet. We haven't played those live yet. Did we play one? One of those 5 we've played live. That was a slow 12/8. Yeah, some are on the video. Yes, on the website. Yeah. How do I keep all these songs in memory? Dementia. Dementia blues. Yeah. How do you remember all that stuff? Well, one of the ways I do it is by keeping having memory is kind of all about association. So if I try to relate it to something else in some way, shape, or form, sometimes it's just forcing yourself to do it, which can be difficult, especially when you have a lot of things, like I said, playing all those Ventures tunes back to back. Keeping all that straight, especially if you're having some beers. um, the having, you have your chord progression, and I know, okay, instead of just remembering it's an A that goes to this chord that goes to that chord, I think of it in scale degrees as well, and that helps too. So I know that, okay, this is the 6, and then it goes to the augmented, the sharp 5 augmented, and then back to the 1, tritone diminished, or D diminished, say flat 5 diminished, I guess, and then back to the 6. That's the way I end up remembering it. And sometimes associating different solos with it depends on the solo, really, but sometimes it's good to, I'll have the solo kind of playing in my head at the same time if it's a cover or whatever. Original tunes, it's about 50-50 for me. Sometimes the solos are written out and I play them the same each time, and then half the other songs I just make them up as I go. So that's intentional because I don't want to sound like a jukebox all the time. So and it's entertaining to come up with new solos on the fly, like right in the whatever you're gonna do, especially any kind of blues swing standard progression. It's about being familiar with the progression so you can improvise over the top of it. And that just comes by playing to backing tracks, playing that progression around and around and around, and getting used to what works and what doesn't work. That's where will help with the improvisation. And then you start using your ears and putting all the little pieces together, and that's where that's where the improv comes into it. As far as remembering individual solo notes, if it's really complicated, I try to break it into different sections. So I'll have the beginning section will be this riff, and then it'll be this riff, or break it over the different chords and that sort of thing. So um, the chord progression itself, I try to associate it with scale degrees and individual, and of course the chords themselves and the lyrics too, if you can. Since I sing most of the tunes, I'll associate the chord, kind of fretboard or fingerboard memory, I like to say, or I know like, okay, this lyric is going to be over that chord. So singing actually kind of helps me remember the chords. I know that, oh, that lyric and that melody that I'm going to be singing is over this chord, not, you know, not that chord. Would he little wing it? Um, an inexpensive slapback delay pedal. Besides the Boss delay pedal, like the what is it, the DD5 or something. Besides that, um, I don't know if they still make it. The Ibanez Sound Tank. That's what I used before I got into the crazy delay world. Um, hey Tom, what's going on? Rocking and rolling. Yeah, that there you go. Don't need an opening act. That's a good opening act. Yeah, I mean that the Boss one. That's what Setzer used. The early Stray Cats um, recordings. That's all. That's a Boss, just a old, standard Boss digital delay pedal. Still the Fender Bassman, but it's just that pedal I got plugged into the bass channel of that amp, and of course Dave Edmunds worked his magic and get that sound. I heard he played with like a Vox too, like a Vox AC30, um, or something that he really really liked, but said could never get it to sound the same in America when he played with it in England. Something about the power conversion or something. I don't know. Yeah, you're telling me about that. Down the road, I'll get one of those. Yeah, I've been happy with the Mystery Brain or the RE20, but yeah, with the downside with the Mystery Brain is there's no reverb. The RE20 has the reverb, but no boost. The Mystery Brain has a boost, no reverb. So yeah, Rumble Seat sounds like a good compromise there. Of course, I got this 301, so I'm really happy with this. Although you got to tinker with that thing. I had went to record when I was recording videos earlier this week. I went to play it, and all of a sudden it sounded like an old tape drag. Everything was just, it sounded horrible. Like, what is going on? And I looked at it, and it was just the little tension arm on there that keeps the tape against the head. It was just a little too tight and backed it off. So it's a lot of tinkering with these tape things. But once I had it dialed in last night. I'm like, woof, things amazing. Sing Queen of Hearts yeah. Yeah, you're right. It was. Yeah. I played one of the first bands I played with when I moved up here, Rhode Island, was we played that song, Queen of Hearts. It's funny. Yeah, I mean it is in the fingers, it is in the playing. But having that preamp, the Mystery Brain preamp is something. That's um having that extra that boost to that preamp. It can get a little crunchy if you're not careful. Um, but it's but I usually keep it right around like 9 o'clock. That's pretty good. Nick Lowe, rock. Yeah, that's funny. It's like the third time Nick Lowe's come up this week. um, everyone's playing Cruel to Be Kind. I seem to be hearing that song everywhere I go. Um, yeah. Um, everyone's like, see those little runs all the time. Uh, and that's kind of all based on, you know, just kind of a major, minor, major 7 scale. I find this E shape here. Move it up. Fits very nicely for the fast. For the fast little runs, and it works because you're over the 1 and the 6 and the 5's right there. Oh. Basically. And just kind of playing around with a um um like a blues scale. Mostly a major scale, but you throw in that little flat 7 there. Yeah, kind of like a Les Paul kind of thing, yeah. That's just that scale tends to work. It's just very comfortable. Fits very nicely, you know, as a, you know, as a scale, as opposed to trying to play. I mean, you can do that, and that's just a C major scale. And that's just kind of going up and down, up and down, up and down, back and forth, back and forth. And one little scale I've to practice is that is going 1, 2, 3. Probably. I'm sure he does. I'm sure he's sitting on his couch with the guitar constantly. Yeah. It's once what I do usually I'll sit and if I want to learn to play a specific type of thing, I'll just learn it, spend the time and learn it, which can take anywhere from a few hours to a couple days, depending on what it is. And if I find a little struggle spot, then I'll just focus on that. And that's when I'll just, okay, go and watch from watching TV or whatever. I'll just have the guitar on me and just play that over and over and over and over. And until you get used to it. I haven't played Goofing Around by Bill Haley. No. I'll have to try that one. Oh, it's definitely great for the jump blues stuff. Of course, the major scale stuff works too. Blues scale, pentatonic, major, minor, all that stuff. You kind of combine it all together, so you're not really just playing one scale at a time. You're doing everything. But those little, when you're playing different modes, right, and a D minor scale comes up, you can play. You don't have to switch and play a D minor scale. You just play that same. You're in C, and you're switched and the chord switches, and it's in the same key. It's diatonic, so in other words, it's the same. The chord belongs in the key. You're not playing like a big two or a altered chord or borrowing from another key. You're still playing in C. You can still play that same type of run. You just start on the D note instead and end on a D note, and it sounds like, oh, look, I played a different. It's still just a C major scale. You're just starting on a different note. Yes, very difficult. Find it difficult to practicing, learning new things, playing gigs, living. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I need to get better at organizing my time. Trying to make videos and yeah. Plus day jobs and all of that stuff. It's like, oof, you know. Luckily, I have I work from home for the most part, and I have a couple of things I do outside. Have to leave the house for basically. But as far as playing gigs, yeah, and learning new things, and I try to say I'm going to do this at this time and this at this time and that time. And the thing that tends to end up suffering, at least right now, with everything is the videos, but because it just takes up so much time to get it recorded and then to edit it and everything else. And my day job involves me sitting in front of the computer all day. So the last thing I want to do is sit in front of the computer even more. Other than this, I mean, this is fine. This is different. This is not the same thing. But as far as editing goes, and it's once you get in the flow of it and you get get into it, it's a lot of fun. Oh yeah, learning new. Yeah. I find myself, as far as learning new musical concepts. Yeah, I'll hear about something. Oh, I need to check that out. I have so many videos saved in YouTube to go and look at. I haven't even scratched the surface of. Um, there's a tune I'm trying to learn right now, which is I know is going to be a lot, but I really want to learn it. In Teams meetings, not sure. What do you mean meetings? I'm not sure. Meetings. I don't have any meetings, but oh, the tune is Maple Leaf Rag. It's a it's a it's a I don't even know any of it yet. I've heard it. It's originally a I've it's originally a Scott Joplin piano ragtime song, but I've heard it played on the guitar. It was played originally by a classical on a classical guitar, but I think it would be cool to play it. Yeah, Scott Joplin. Yeah. Did I say that? um, I think I got that right. Anyway, yeah, it's I heard it once played on the guitar, and I think it's on YouTube. The guy playing it. I want to say he played with Tommy Emmanuel too, but it might be. I thought it was a Scott Joplin tune. Um, but anyway, that version of it on the piano, but played on the guitar, so it's like thumb pick kind of thing. So like the stuff like that. Oh, okay, so it is. Oh, cool, nice. Yeah, was it? I don't know. Yep. Yeah, I was just looking at. Yeah, 1899. Copyright registered September 18, 1999. Composed by Scott Joplin. Um, oh, cool. Yeah, so it's just going to take. I want to learn it, but I know it's going to take a little bit more time because I want to play with a thumb pick. But the main reason is because I'm not going to have any tab or anything like that. Although there's some videos of him, so I have the piano music, so I'm going to have to like transcribe that for the guitar. So that takes a little bit of time. Um, oh, thanks, Dwayne. Appreciate it. Take care. Have a good one. Piano in every home. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, a piano in every home. Now then, that kind of people had a lot more were more in touch with music in general. I feel back then, partially because of that. Now everybody's got a computer in their house. And now, not so much even that anymore. Everything's all mobile. Yeah. Totally different. I mean, I had a piano growing up, but several of them. 1 million. Wow. Crazy. Oh, I just read that. It starts in the key of A flat major. That'll be fun. Of course, I could change the key, I suppose. And changes to D flat major. And then modulates, and then back to A flat major. Ugh. I'll have to say, I wonder what the version I heard. Yeah, I wonder what he's playing. Anyway. Huh. Interesting. Oh, I bet. That's why God made capos. Yeah, right. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. I I forget about capos. I only use it for one song that we play live, but and I don't have to, but it just makes it easier. Um yeah, there's another tune that I play that there's a one other finger picking tune I learned a while ago that uses a capo, but can't remember what it was. But it's great for the droning, you know, if you're doing any of the finger picking stuff and you want to change keys and still play it the same way. And you play something like, you know, the Martha My Dear, it's in E flat but no capo. That'll be the day. Yeah, that was I was gonna say. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, you have to. You use one for that. It's the only way to get that, you know, sound. I don't have a capo on me, but yeah, you get the idea. Hmm. The ragged syncopation of the beat. Ah, well, could be either one. Something like that. Yeah, that'll be my next little project as far as songs to learn. I don't know if there's any other. There's always what's the name of it? I can't remember the name of it, but it goes like it's kind of sounds like this. I know this isn't right, but the Chet Atkins thing. Cool. Thanks, Tom. Likewise. Keep on rocking. See you soon. Yeah, Tom's got his own YouTube channel. You guys should check it out. It's he's great. A lot of surf stuff and instrumental rock and roll. And yeah, just check it out. It's just Tom Conlon on YouTube. And he's got the tab and everything there too. So a lot more subscribers than I do. Anyway, yeah, we've been going for a little bit here. So yeah, I'll keep going. I keep getting there. One subscriber at a time. I got first you know, tier 1 subscription today. That's just great. Thank you again. Mo Decker for the tier 1 sub, and yeah, we'll get some we got some don't have anything like exclusive member content as far as videos go yet. I do have a couple in the pipeline here. So those just totally different content, not it's band related, but it's not necessarily educational in the lesson sense. But now that I've started to as the channel continues to grow and I start moving my focus more onto the channel and I can afford to do that, it's the content will continue to grow, of course. But thank you guys. Thank everybody for, showing up, of course, and hanging out here on the live stream. This is always a lot of fun. We'll do this again next week. Next week will be same time. I'm going to try to keep it as consistent as I possibly can, at least for the next couple of weeks, since I don't have any shows this month. Oh yeah, we got t-shirts. Oh yeah, we absolutely have t-shirts. We have them. They're available on through the website. I think that goes through the Square store. I am going to set up a YouTube store. I just haven't done that yet. I guess YouTube, you can only link like certain brands or whatever types of stores. So I haven't set that up yet, but it's we have t-shirts, hoodies, buttons, stickers. I don't have any hats or keychains yet, but I think need to do hats, keychains, and beer can opener or beer bottle openers or beer koozies. Yeah, let's see. I don't know if I have a picture. One is the sign. You've seen the sign before. It's just kind of an outline of it, so it's a white with red lettering, and then the other one is just a white on black shirt. Cool, awesome. Oh, you're welcome, Mo. Yeah, I'll get that. I'll get that store set up this week. So, and you guys can check it out. I haven't. Yeah, I have no idea what's entailed yet. So we'll see. It shouldn't be too bad. So I don't know if you have to. Some things like you have to have an inventory and ship it to them, and then they ship it to people who order it, or we take care of the shipping. I have no idea how that works yet, but I know that from I've typically in the past put it on either Square or Amazon, and Square I'd have to ship it myself. Amazon, you usually send it through Amazon. They keep it in their warehouse, and then if somebody buys it there, they take care of it, and I don't have to worry about it. But kind of learning as I go on some of this stuff here. Do I use no, I don't use any of that stuff. I just use the Got to Be Glued in the yellow, and I use the guess it's a pomade, whatever, the pomade stuff, the stylizer, and then I'll shape it, and then I use the hairspray to kind of keep it from going everywhere, especially in Rhode Island. The humidity up here in the summertime is insane. I don't care how much what you use. Maybe if I used Murray's, it might stay in place, but with the humidity level up here, it's just falls completely flat within 20 minutes. Oh, cool. Yeah, a lot of people have the stores on YouTube. I see it pretty much not every channel, but yeah, a lot of them. So, yeah, definitely going to do that and try to get that set up this week. And my main focus is getting that little demo of the in-ear monitor. Yeah, This pomade is the secret to good playing. You got to have the hair and the orange guitar, and then you got it. So, yeah, I think I came up with somewhat of a creative way to hear the in-ear monitor. Like, how do I demo something like that? So I plugged it into a mixer board and then output that into my interface. So you're actually hearing, if you wear earbuds and you listen to the video, you'll hear what it sounds like, which is kind of cool. And from what I could hear, I just plugged it in and listened to my guitar. It sounds pretty cool. I haven't used it live yet, but you could get an entire mix, and it's cheap to just use your iPhone or whatever uh, Android headset and just plug it right into that thing, and you can you got a little in-ear monitor without having to spend a fortune on like the high-end ones. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, just needs a pomade. All right. I will yeah. I will be back on next week, same time, Saturday at 4 o'clock. Thank you guys again for hanging out. It's been a lot of fun. And until next time, and the next videos hopefully coming out this week, get the store set up, keep on rocking, and keep on growing. Thank you guys again. Appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, of course. That always helps, goes a long way. And we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one, everybody. Later.